Mhm. Hello, everyone. Welcome to round two, Shows Division OFR. And today we are at Australia. So we had the start to the season, of course, last week at Bahrain. And now we are heading to the land down under in Australia, in Melbourne, home of Formula One driver Oscar Piastri and the McLaren superstar has erupted onto the scene lately. And of course, with today being the day of the real life race in Australia, the OFR race will also take part today. I'm not sure if that was an intended coincidence on the calendar design, but if it was, then I'm sure Show did a good job of it. But now let's get underway with the race. The lobby has just about started, and let's get into it. All right, everyone, welcome to the session. So, really quickly before we get started, let's just look at the weather. So, we saw from the car that I am in currently that I will be retiring from. It's a bit overcast in the race, but it says short qualifying, no threat of rain, and a 5% chance for the race, only for the rain. So, it doesn't look like it's going to be an issue. Um, but for the time being, hold on. Qualifying is going to start shortly, and we will be right back. All right, we are back, and already cars are going out on the track. Look at that. We have pretty much a full track. I mean, about 10 cars out on the track already. And I think these track conditions aren't great. So I don't think these are going to be initially representative lap times. Welcome to the stream, everyone. Welcome, Conrad. And we're going to see a couple guys get started on their laps. I think that's an Aston Martin that just crossed the finish line. He's about to start. Yeah. So left here, the winner of last week's Grand Prix at Bahrain. Left here, the Hungarian Aston Martin driver. And Tommy into the wall is our first crash. His car is still intact, but that is his front wing gone. So let's move over here to left here, who was the pole sitter and winner for yesterday. Of course, 26.9 in the first sector. So these aren't going to be completely representative lap times as we saw last night. Carlos Sainz, Max Verstappen, all near the 26.2s, 26.3s in that first sector. So we can definitely start to see some improvement. The track temperatures are going to be cold. It's going to be overcast, but a 44.4 from left gear means there's a solid improvement in that second part of the lap, and it's looking nice and tidy from the Aston Martin so far as he comes round this 90-degree right-hander bend into the last couple corners of the race. Left gear using all the track provided to him. He has a Williams in front of him though, but he's going to move out of the way. Let him by. Left gear coming to the start-finish straight. The Aston Martin, he will set the benchmark time, and it will be a 1:17.368. That's going to be the time to beat. Who else is close to finishing a lap? I believe Dr. Robot is. No, it is the other Red Bull of Showcrime, but he's just about to start his lap. Tim Blaish in Sector 1. Tommy, of course, into the wall. Larvesh in the Alpine, a new face. He has invalidated. There is a Mercedes coming to the line. That is NL Carr. He goes second with a 19.5, so a 2-second gap behind. There is a Ferrari coming as well. Is that Ace? No, that is Blue Phoenix on the mediums, but this isn't going to be a representative lap time. He abandoned it mid-lap. It's going to be a 37. Meanwhile, Focus, the reigning world champion in the Williams, with a 17.8. So he absolutely dominated the field last season. Wukarda, again, with an unrepresentative lap time, 32.2. He dominated the field last season. 6 out of 7 possible wins for Focus in the Williams. Only one. Oh, and into the wall goes Blue Phoenix. And he somehow miraculously doesn't lose his front left tire. He keeps it on. Dr. Robot goes fourth with a 20.1. Back to Focus, though. 6 out of 7 possible wins. A huge margin. I'm pretty sure he won the title with 1 race to spare, which is really impressive considering it's a 7-race season. But now he doesn't look to be the front runner, and it looks to still be left gear. Of course, very early on, Monkey Man Matt, his former teammate, with an 18.2, whereas Showcrime with an 18.6. A very competitive time, actually, from the Red Bull, closing in on Monkey Man Matt and beating out his teammate by a large margin. Dylan in the Mercedes coming through Sector 3 here. He's in a bit of traffic. He's got a McLaren behind and a Ferrari ahead. That is Ace, who is about to start his lap. So he's going to do well to go quickly, but it looks like he's taking his time. No, that isn't Ace. It's going to be Phoenix, who heads into the pits. Dylan, this isn't looking like a fast time. This could see him near the likes of his teammate and Dr. Robot, and it will be just about right ahead of his teammate at 19.155 for the Mercedes, who occupy 5th and 6th place currently. A lot of people on their outlaps here is Ace, another new face to OFR. Wasn't here last week either, but is filling in for a Ferrari driver. I'm not sure exactly who. Meanwhile, no one on a lap right now, actually. So everyone still only on out laps, which is weird to say the least. But I guess it is just how different the run plans are here. So we're seeing people like Arthur, who usually do this. Like, he's still in the pits. It's been 7 minutes now, and he's still in the pits. And then we're seeing people that maybe are more confident in their ability to qualify to Q2, like Tim Blaish, out later, whereas people who maybe have to do more runs than one to get through are coming out earlier. King Murul, who was in the podium fight last week, qualified P2, still has not come out of the pits yet. Neither has Marco. And Tommy, about to start his lap. We saw him into the barriers at turn 2 on his first lap. Can he improve and potentially match the likes of his teammate? I believe the former McLaren driver last season. He found some success. The Slovakian, if I'm correct, or Slovenian, don't quote me on that, heads through turn 3 now, and a bit of a slide through there. Now, this is a tricky portion of the track through 4 and 5. Really hard to keep the car stable at high speeds through 5, but he does it just well. 27.2 in the first sector. This is the corner where Alex Albon crashed in FP1 earlier this weekend. Turn 6 into 7 into this long winding DRS straight, 4 DRS zones at Australia. This is the second of the lap so far, well, third if you count the start finish straight. 45.1 for Tommy PLR. So not nearly close to left gear, but it will definitely put him in the mix if he continues this as he heads into sector 3 here. The last bend, a tricky technical portion of the track, maybe not using as much track as his teammate would have there, but he comes through the final 2 bends here into this last chicane, the least grippy corner on the entire track. We've seen a lot of spins through there, and he had a little bit of trouble with the car, but he's managed to keep it straight. Tommy PLR is going to cross the line. This is going to be a 19.278. He's going to slot right in between the 2 Mercs. Meanwhile, we have an Alpine of Larvish, who has not set a lap yet, coming through sector 3. Let's take a look at Tim Blasia's sector 2 time. No, he's invalidated, so we'll go back to the Alpine. Reshkone goes 11th with a 20.799. Ace, by the way, has gone 5th with an 18.519. Remember, these are equal cars, and as I said this just a minute ago, Larvish spinning out at that corner, and now don't get disqualified here, Larvish, for going backwards, because that can and does happen. King Miro still not out of the pits here as Arthur Kashrewa makes way for, that is Dr. Robot, I believe, but both Red Bulls still on their out laps. So is Marco on a lap? Marco is on a lap, but he's gone over that curb in an untimely fashion, going wide on the exit of 5 here. This isn't going to be a representative lap, I don't think, for Marco. A 28.3 sector 1. He's going to get a little bit of tow from the Alfa Romeo, but it almost looked like there was going to be a collision there. I'm not sure if Arthur Castrero knew that Marco was on a flyer. Shadow Ben with a 22.6. I believe we saw him last week racing. Meanwhile, Reshkone on another flyer. So going for the double flyer. He must have thought he had more time left in that lap. And does he? He does, a whole second in that lap at 19.867 for the AlphaTauri. That jumps him up into P10. And I'm going to have to retract my earlier statement about Q1. I don't know why. I thought this was full quali. So this is short quali. It's 18-minute session. So no elimination and no progression whatsoever. Meanwhile, Marco improves to 12th with a 21.5. Tim Blaish, I believe he's going to go for another lap, recharging his battery in the Williams. Let's ride on board with him. Tim Blaish, he scored points last week. He had a good recovery drive. He comes through turn 1 here, going a little bit wide, maybe not as fast as he would have wanted to, onto the green curb there. But he's going to have to continue with this lap. Might be the penultimate lap that he sets. He comes down to turn 3, avoiding using the curb, and he comes through a little bit of traffic through 4, but he's going to weave through carefully, and he just does a Daniel Ricciardo there, and he's going to invalidate, goes off the white, goes past the white line on the track. So I think Tim Blaish, it might be time to pit for a new set of tires, unless you want to do another run on these. But I'm not sure you will have enough time to do so. But meanwhile, look at this. Luca with a 17.619 goes second fastest, and Focus, he's only down 4 thousandths of a second. Can he find a bit more time in sector 3 as he comes through this fast right-hander? Oh, almost drifts off the track, but he's still got it going through the final 2 turns. Comes the Williams. He sits in P3 at the moment. Can he improve his position? He's going to get a little bit of tow down to the line, and there's a Red Bull sat on the racing line, and Focus still improves. Even with that, that is going to be, who was that? I believe that was Showcrime, who had gotten DSQ'd for some reason. So that there's going to be an investigation about that at the end of the race for sure. Both of the Mercs improving their times, still in 5th and 6th though. So Focus could have definitely gone second there if he didn't have to swerve off the racing line there. I don't think neither Showcrime nor Focus are going to be happy with that one. But 6 minutes remaining of qualifying. There is going to be adequate time for Focus to go out and do another lap on a new set of tires, unless he wants to, of course, save them. Meanwhile, Wukarda still with a 25.59. Not a representative time for the Singaporean driver at all as he comes through the last bend. Where can he put this McLaren? Down the start-finish straight. Wukarda crosses the line, but only manages 8th, cannot break into the 18s. So maybe a bit of a subpar lap from the McLaren driver. Let's see, does he still have time in his lap? I don't think he's going to go for another push lap. He doesn't have enough fuel in the tank, 0.9, 0.8 there, maybe even less for him. So let's see, is anyone on a flyer? Yes, Ace is on a flyer. He comes through turn 3 here, a wide line, prioritizing the entry into 4 and going narrowly through 5, heading into 6 here. 6, very important corner. You can gain or lose a lot of time here. And, well, not sure quite what to say about that. Didn't look as fast as maybe you could have taken it, but we'll have to see on the timing sheet whether Ace is improving or not as he comes down to the Sector 2 timing line. And it is going to be a 45.225 for Ace, and he is down about 2/10. Can he salvage a bit of time from this lap? This could be the last push lap for Ace unless he abandons in boxes and goes for another set of tires. But I'm not sure if he has the capacity to do that. Ace coming through the last 3 corners here now. Can he improve? Can he potentially jump in front of the 2 Mercs? Only 300ths of a second separate the 2 Mercs, but he'll need to find half a second in that final sector. But he's persisted with the lap. He thinks there's time in it. Ace is going to cross the line. It's going to be an 18.581, so he did find time in that 3rd sector, but not quite enough. Tommy has invalidated his lap. Let's go to the Haas of Monkey Man Matt, who's also invalidated his lap. So I'm not sure. I don't think anyone is on a lap right now. Shadow Ben on a lap. He's got a Red Bull behind him. That is Dr. Robot on his out lap. And into the grass goes Shadow Ben. And he spins out into turn 4. He's going to let the Red Bull by. So it hasn't been a great qualifying session for him yet. Only one slower is Blue Phoenix with a 28.1. But he will definitely be able to improve. Larvish with a 28.9. Or Larv Sesh, sorry, with a 28.9 in Sector 1. But that's not going to be a representative time. Let's go back on board with Tim Blaish as he heads through Sector 1 here. That's going to be a 31.5. So not sure what's going on with him. But left here, close to starting his lap. I'll focus back out on new tires. There's a bit of a issue going on here with him and the McLaren. He wants to cede the track position. Now he wants to re-overtake him. So an interesting conundrum. Luca, meanwhile, pulling off the track here, just out of fuel. So I don't think he's going to be improving his lap. But Bucarda receives a 5-place grid penalty for alleged illegal blocking. I think it's over there in that first portion of the track. Something was going on there, and he received a 5-place grid penalty. Let's go with left gear, though. The man who sits in first right now. Over 0.2 of a second in the Aston Martin. Can he elongate his advantage in the Drivers' Championship by taking pole here today? 26 points on the season. Left gear. He comes through turn 1, takes it nicely, drifts a little bit to the left, though, and that's going to be his lap finished. Now he's going to have to recharge the pack, cool down the engine, but keep the tires at an adequate temperature if he wants to go again. And this could leave him vulnerable for some of the other drivers on the track. Now, meanwhile, Dr. Robot here coming through Sector 3. Can he improve? A little bit narrow through there. I'm not sure if he's backed off that lap, but it looks like he's still continuing. Dr. Robot coming through this turn here. Pretty slow through that right-hander. We've seen faster today, but still looks like he might be on for an improvement, whereas Tim Blaish retires from the session. Dr. Robot through the last turn. Here comes the Red Bull. It looks like he is due for a slight improvement at the least. Dr. Robot crosses the line. It's going to be a 19.1, so not nearly a slight improvement for him. That's a whole second. Ricardo is going to back off his lap, so I think that 19 flat might be the best he'll do. Tommy PLR with an 18.8. I think that's probably going to be his fastest time. Monkey Man Matt not on a representative time right now. Focus, of course, had it. Oh, Focus invalidated. So a lot of track limits issues going on here today. Monkey Man Matt not on a flyer. NL Carr is also invalidated. He was up a bit of time the last time I checked. Meanwhile, who's on a lap? Arthur Kostrewa, who sits in P11, is on a lap. We've known that he can do significant damage when he wants to. but a bit slow through 3 there, a bit of a narrow line. But as he comes through 4, he's going to maximize the exit. Now through 5 for Arthur Kostreva. What will his sector 1 time be? It'll be a 27.2, so he's down. He's up 2/10 on his time as he comes through 7 and 8 now. On to this winding DRS straight. That's qualifying. So I don't think, no, Focus is going to take the checkered flag. So he's not going to set another lap time. So I think that's pretty much going to be it for qualifying, unless Luca had something in his bag. Arthur lost a bit of time through Sector 2, but he's still up 1.5 tenths. That would be enough to put him P10, but he'd need a little bit more time to go P9, and into the grass he goes. That's going to be it for him as Luca takes the checkered flag. And the only person left on a lap is Lefkier, who is up a bit of time through Sector 2, but he's going to back off that lap. No, wait, Monkey Man Matt is on a lap, but he's down 4 tenths into Sector 1. And he found a bit of time through Sector 2, but it won't be enough unless he has a monstrous heap of time in Sector 3 here. I think he's going to finish the lap, but he's going to be the last driver out. So a lackluster finish to qualifying, that's for sure. But Lefkier in the Aston Martin will take his second pole of the season. 2 poles in 2 races for the Hungarian driver. Lefkier in the Aston Martin will be first with a 17.368. So Monkey Man Matt finding another 10th in that last sector, but just not enough. Could we maybe have seen a better time from Focus? Potentially, but he was unable to get to the line at the end. And he will have to settle for that 17.777 lucky sevens for Focus. Not so lucky as he finds himself on the second row of the grid. But there are your qualifying results. Lefkier in first, then Luca, then Focus, Monkey Man Matt, the 2 Mercedeses on the third row there. We'll get back to the qualifying results in just a minute. Here we go. NL Carr in 5th and Dylan in 6th. Only 300 separating them. Then Ace in the Ferrari. Tommy PLR. Wukarda. Dr. Robot, who Wukarda has a 5-place grid penalty, so he will be starting 14th. So Dr. Robot and Arthur Kostreva. Then Reshko and Marco. Shadow Ben. Larsesh and Tim Blaish. Blue Phoenix. King Miro unable to set a time. And Showcrime at the back disqualified. And also he had impeded Focus on the start-finish straight, costing him potentially P2 there. And there are your qualifying results, and we will be right back for the race. All right, so we are back for the race here, and the formation lap will shortly be underway here at Australia. So can we hear some of your predictions in the chat? Is Lefkier going to win again, or is it going to be somebody else? Maybe Focus back to his prime. Maybe it's going to be a new winner this season, Luca. Maybe it's going to be somebody completely different. Let me know in the chat what you think as we are getting underway with the formation lap. But some quick facts about the Formula One Grand Prix. Here in Australia, the Formula One Grand Prix was held in Adelaide for a decade up until 1995 when it was moved to where it is here now at Melbourne at the track that it is right now. Of course, we didn't see it on the calendar in 2020. Alberts Park was not on the calendar in 2020 or 2021, but it made its return in 2022 as the third track on the calendar. But before that, it had been known as the inaugural track of the season. It was generally the season opener for quite a while, but now it is still at the front end of the season, but it is not the first track. We have now Jeddah and Bahrain ahead of it, but we could see it back at the start as early as next season. We did see earlier this year a Twitter post by the Australian Grand Prix stating that Lewis Hamilton will in fact make his Ferrari debut at the Australian Grand Prix. So unless that was an unintended typo, that would of course mean that for next season, Australia is going to be the first race on the calendar. But of course, that is all just speculation. The 16-turn circuit is, of course, the lap record held by Max Verstappen just last night of 15.915. It is 5.278 kilometers long, or just about 3.3 miles. And in real life, it is a 58-lap race. Of course, most pole positions held by Lewis Hamilton, 8, and the most wins by Michael Schumacher, 4. Let's take a look at the strategies. Most of the drivers electing for mediums, but a good chunk, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them on softs, and only 2 near the back of our Vision King mural electing for hards. Left here, the front runner is on mediums, but we've got Luca right beside him on the softs. Can he potentially get a better start, as all the cars are now lining up on the track? Ace and Dr. Robot unable to park a Formula One car. Let's take a look at this. One more driver left. I think that's Luca, is it? No, that's Larsesh. And the 5 red lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it is lights out, and away we go here for the second time this season. Luca with not a great start, but look at this. Focus is going to come up, and he's already into second place. Doesn't even need to send one into the corner. Luca's going a little wide. He's going to get attacked by Monkey Man Matt here, who's up into the podium positions. Meanwhile, Focus at Game trying to go around the outside of Left Gear for the lead of this race into turn 3. He was pushed off wide. Left Gear retaining the position for now, and Focus is going to have to try again, but Left Gear goes a little wide on the exit of 4, and Focus is going to have around to him. Potentially a move into turn 6. A very unorthodox place to make a move, and there's a little bit of contact there. Left Gear going slowly through the turn now as they head onto this straight. Of course, no DRS until lap 3, but Focus has the run, and Left Gear is doing his best to try and not let him pass. But if Focus could just burn a little bit of ERS here, he could get alongside, and the gap is under 1/10. Is he going to try one up the inside? Left Gear moving all over the place. Focus is not going to be happy with that. And he could have had a chance to take the race lead, but Left Gear driving incredibly defensively as Luca pulls out, tries to make a move. Other than that, not much change. Arthur up 4 positions now to 7th, and NL Car all over the back of Luca. Luca started on the soft. Oh, and NL Car almost loses the car. Luca, who had started on the soft, it's not working out for him, but Focus still all over the back of Left Gear. He's going to move off the racing line to try and break the toe, but Focus is going to follow him. And look at how strong Focus's race pace is. Left Gear sets the fastest lap for now, and I think Focus might have just gotten a warning there. Oh, that's a Mercedes in the background. That's NL Car. He's going to have to move off the racing line and let everyone by. That's not going to be a safety car just yet. Yellow flags in Sector 1, though, and he's going to re-enter the track in 19th, I believe. Meanwhile, Focus still trying to get past Left Gear. Left Gear's pulled a little bit more of a gap now. Arthur Kushari up to 6th because of that. So he's up 5 places now in just 1 lap. And what's happened with Wukarta? What has happened with the McLaren? The McLaren is also into a wall at the exit of turn 5. And he is down to 18th now. So Focus, let's get back to these two because these two seem inseparable. 2/10 still the gap between them, as Monkey Man Matt has caught up a little bit due to Left Gear's defensive driving, but still half a second back. And of course, now we're going to have DRS starting next lap. Of course, whoa, and a slide by Focus. As I was saying, it is a double DRS detection point, so we will not have DRS until, I believe, the curved straight there in Sector 2, but I might be wrong about that. 2 double detection points here at Australia as Monkey Man Matt takes the fastest lap of the race with a 21.1. Another track that has that double detection is Mexico, and yep, no DRS down this straight, but we will see it down the next, and we will see who elects to go for an overtake, as Shadow Ben, I believe, is into the wall at the last corner there as he slips down the order, while Luca, who's, whoa, what happened to Monkey Man Matt? Monkey Man Matt has gone off track there at turn 3, and he's down to 8th now. And he doesn't have to let Reshcone by. Reshcone's right behind him, and he has a 3-second time penalty. Whoa, and Marco into the wall as well. He was running 7th in the AlphaTauri, but he had a bit of a spin, and now he's down to 13th. So some chaotic first couple of laps here. But both Left Gear and Focus using a solid amount of ERS, but still half a second is the gap. They've pulled away. They are forming their own pack at the front, 2 seconds behind to Luca, and Arthur is the gap, who is, by the way, in a podium position right now because, of course, Luca has that time penalty. So Arthur is in net P3 right now, and Focus into the gravel at 14. Unlucky for him, but he's still just about managed to stay within DRS of Left Gear. He's going to have to use a little bit of overtake now to catch back up to the Aston Martin and try to keep that gap under 1 second, but Left Gear is going to try to use some ERS potentially now to pull away, sees the opportunity, but a bad exit out of the chicane there will mean that Focus gets to catch right back up without burning too much battery, and the gap from 9/10 now all the way down to 4. Ace picking up a 3-second time penalty as well. Reshcone, another 3-second time penalty. That's going to put him at 6 already in only 4 laps. I mean, we saw the invalidations in qualifying, but we didn't think it was going to be that bad in the race. And at this rate, pretty much everyone is going to have at least 3 seconds of time penalties. DRS wide open for the Williams, and he is catching Left Gear. Will we see a shift in the lead of the race for the first time in 5 laps on the main straight, or will we see Left Gear stay ahead? And of course, strategy is going to be crucial here as well. We saw a couple 2 stops at Bahrain, which is interesting. Maybe here the soft runners might try to 2-stop, but for Focus, I think it's just getting the undercut on Left Gear, maybe boxing on lap 13 instead of 14, or even lap 12 to try and just get that advantage. But this is the closest they've been in a couple laps there as they head onto the main straight. Maybe not this one, but the next DRS detection point. I think Left Gear used a bit of overtake there to get a better exit, but still Focus gained back a 10th on the straight as they head through the first chicane there. The gap stays steady at 2/10, while Arthur Kastrewa gets a 3-second time penalty after only 5 laps. So that might be his podium chances out the window. But look at this, look at how close they are. And Focus has to back off a little bit to avoid touching the rear. Monkey Man Matt, also another 3-second time penalty. I mean, with the amount of time penalties there have been this race, this is looking almost like an open lobby. Half a second still. The gap, Marco has overtaken NL Car. In the meanwhile, NL Car down to 18th. He did not box, and he's going to try and potentially make a recovery here. Whereas Focus now very close to Left Gear down this short DRS straight. Could we see a lunge into turn 12 from Focus? Is he close enough? Left Gear goes a bit defensive, but no, he's just too far back. But now could be Focus's chance to potentially make a move on the main straight. This is the closest they've been. 3/10 only is the gap. Can Focus get a better run on Left Gear? It looks like he's managed to do that. DRS and ERS. Is the Williams going to pull alongside? He does. And he is finally into the lead of the race. He has been pushing for 5 laps, and it is the Williams' time to shine. Left Gear demoted to second, and Focus up into first, and he's already pulled 6/10 of a gap. Tim Blaish up to 10th. He's in this pack with King Mural and Ace sort of ahead here. It's not a DRS train because the gap's 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 seconds. but it looks like King Miro is catching the Ferrari ahead, and he's going to turn it into a DRS train one way or another. And meanwhile, what has happened with that Haas there in the background? I think that's Shadow Ben, who's now a lap down, only 5 laps into the race. And take a look at this left gear around the outside in this DRS straight. His Focus is going to try to hold the position. No, he isn't. And the Aston Martin back into the lead of the race. Tim Blaish picks up a 3-second time penalty. And left gear, of course, with that double detection point, Shadow Ben retired off track, so that won't be cause for safety car. Left gear going really wide, out of 12 into 13. And now 14, 15, and 16 they head onto the main straight. And look at how close they are. There isn't more than a meter's gap between the cars in that slow section. 2/10 the gap. Focus with the ERS. He's going to pull alongside. Once again, left gear pushes him really wide, though. And left gear goes back onto the racing line, but Focus is going to be ahead. So tough but fair racing between these two. But it seems that left gear might be taking it a little bit harder than Focus is. Focus might want to just pass back on the straights for now. Only 7 laps into the race. Meanwhile, Arthur Kostrewa, here he is fighting with Luca. Oh, and there's contact. There's contact between the two of them, but it's only minor. The gap there was 0.03 of a second for a very short amount of time. And those softs, they're not great at Australia over a long period of time. In real life, they are. In the game, not so much, as Arthur with a slide. Out of 6 now, Dylan is going to have a run on him. Meanwhile, left gear overtakes Focus down the straight. Is Dylan going to try and move? He has the slipstream. He has ERS, but I think he might just be too far back from the Alfa Romeo to make a move. He got that gap down from 0.3 to only 1. But let's go back to the front two, as King Muriel has overtaken Ace and Showcrime up into 9th. Really 8th after the time penalty. So Showcrime looking to get some good points after last week. Not a great showing for Red Bull, but Focus again turns on the ERS. Left gear, is he going to move the defensive? No, he's going to stand his guard, and there's a little bit of wheel banging there, but Focus is going to be fully ahead into turn 1, and this could be the pattern we're going to see for a couple laps. And will the undercut make the difference here? Meanwhile, Luca picks up a time penalty, and Arthur, 2.4 seconds he's lost to Luca. So let's try to examine this car. Does he have front wing damage? It is very plausible that he does. We did see him come into contact with the Alpine, but losing 2 seconds in a lap is wild stuff, even if he is fighting with Dylan behind. And meanwhile, Tommy up to 6. So this could be a big showing for Aston Martin to increase their advantage over everybody else in the constructors. Tim Blaish comes out of the pit, so this could be a 2-stop for Tim Blaish. He's going to come in early for hards. Maybe he's going to try and go to the end of the race on them. Now here comes Focus down this short straight. Left gear is going to go defensive, and we've seen this happen again. Focus is going to brake early, prioritize the exit, and we're going to see him get at him again on the main straight, and it is just back and forth. I mean, I don't want to call it great racing action because it is just DRS passes, but I mean, at least we are seeing overtakes. And Focus once again, well, maybe he's not going to have enough speed this time to make it into turn 1. He's going to back off and maybe try it into turn 3, as Focus this time unable to pass left gear, who might be running a bit lower wings, as we do see him have the advantage on straights, but maybe struggle a bit in the corners. And oh, they come close to touching. We saw a lot of that in Bahrain, especially with Monkey Man Matt, Ricarda, the other McLaren, I forgot who it was at the time. And speaking of Monkey Man Matt, he's back up to 10th after a spin, overtaken NL car. But other than that, not much racing action going on the track. Maybe Wukarda on Larv Sesh here, who locks up into the final turn. And Wukarda is going to try and pass him on the straight. He's getting held up by the Alpine like crazy. But here he comes down the straight. It's going to be Wukarda who makes the pass. And will Marco try it on Larv Sesh as well? Unless Larv Sesh is going to try one up the inside. No, he doesn't. He's way too far back. And even though the tires might be similar in age, and those 8-lap-old hards are better than the 8-lap-old softs, it's still, whoa, Wukarda into the gravel. Not a great race for Wukarda at all so far. He was just making up a couple positions. and he gets a 3-second time penalty for cutting the track there. So maybe a bit harsh, as, by the way, Lefkier has pulled out a substantial gap to Focus. He pulled out half a second in the last lap, and they headed down the main straight there, and instead of being 2-3 tenths separated from each other, they were 7 tenths removed. But Focus is going to have to push. He goes deep there into 3. Let's take a look at this. Dylan on Luca down the DRS straight. He's going to try it around the outside. No, he isn't. He's going to back off, brake early, and Artur Kostrewa somehow back into 3rd. So there's something we must have missed there, because Artur, who was down over 2 seconds on Luca, has now made up a bunch of time and is up into the podium position. So Dylan really holds that position, as he is without a time penalty. Now here comes Dylan. Luca doesn't have DRS down the straight, and the Mercedes, for the first time this race, up into 4th, has overtaken the Alpine. And Dylan, after maybe a lackluster debut at Bahrain, is on for, in only his 2nd race, his first podium finish of his OFR career. And Dylan now maybe potentially able to overtake Artur Kostrewa, whose tires are falling off a cliff at this point. 9-10 laps really with the formation lap on those softs, and he locks up into 15. And Dylan might have the run on him on the straight, but a bit bad work with the gears there for Dylan, and he will just be too far back. Meanwhile, Focus has slashed the gap down to 2 tenths once again. So maybe just a bad lap, a bit of a mistake, maybe a lockup from Focus, but he's gotten back at his Aston Martin counterpart. And this will be an interesting battle for the race win. Meanwhile, King Muriel up to 7th, a couple rounds of pit stops already. He's gained 1 or 2 positions from that, but he definitely looks to be in a point scoring place, pushing on to Tommy PLR ahead. Can King Muriel make another overtake? Yellow flags in sector 1. That's going to be Ace, but a bit of a spin out of turn 4, and that's going to allow, or out of turn 5, that's going to allow Showcrime to catch up now. The gap went from about 6 down to only 2 seconds now. So Showcrime, the Romanian, can potentially try and get into Ace's DRS. We saw Ace be a formidable force in qualifying. He was faster than Showcrime. He was faster than a couple of the other drivers there. But, of course, he is still vulnerable now. Maybe overheating the rear tires, maybe picking up a bit of debris. He's going to have to watch his back, that's for sure. And left here is actually about to lap. I think that is Blue Phoenix. As they head down the straight. Again, a close gap, but just not close enough for Focus, and that's a bit weird as the Ferrari moves off the line. Focus maybe is going to try the switchback into 3 and then into 4, but no, he's not going to. That would have been an amazing overtake. You saw Blue Phoenix there move very quickly and very violently off the racing line there, almost as if he was trying to give Left Gear a tow, which was interesting. But Focus now back on the pedal again. DRS open. He's not using any battery. He doesn't need to. Now, will we see either of these two pit this lap? I think next lap might be the undercut lap. Of course, lap 12 still. But we can definitely see somebody, some of the medium runners pit this lap. And if I wanted to make an undercut on a guy who's consistently the same or similar speed as me and that I need to have track position on, I am going to make that undercut this lap. But let's see if any of these two drivers do come into the pits. Neither of them do, so both of them are going to stay out. Is Dylan going to come into the pits? And look at that gap. They are just about to cross the finish line. Left here and Focus. Meanwhile, Dylan just about still passing the straight. The pit lane, sorry. So 11 seconds in only 13 laps. A huge deal for these two. As Focus comes around the outside, he's going to try it on the Aston Martin. They go too wide there, and a little bit of wheel banging as well. Focus might have tried to hold the position, and that Alfa Romeo is going to have to let him by. He moves off the track, and rightfully so. But Left Gear has been very aggressive this race. So even if I'm Left Gear right now, and I win the even comfortable margin, 6, 7, 8 tenths, right? I win this race. I'm still looking over my shoulder for that FIA report, because we've seen a couple of things. So we've seen wheel banging, we've seen contact. I don't want to say we've seen moving under braking, because I can't pinpoint an exact time where we would have seen moving under braking. But I'm definitely, if I'm left here, I'm looking at trying to pull out 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds on Focus at this point. But I'm not sure if that's going to be possible now. Are either of these two going to pit? Focus still has a chance to undercut him, but no, he doesn't. He stays out, so he thinks he wants to stay level with left here. He's going to pit the same lap that left here will. Arthur, he's probably going to be looking to come into the pits this lap. No, he isn't. So he's going to stay out on those softs. Meanwhile, NL Car, no, not NL Car, Dylan's still in third. Who is there? Luca has pitted, so Luca's onto the hards now. We'll see just how good that undercut is once everybody else's pit stops are finished. He boxed last lap, and he's already only like 15 seconds behind Dylan and Arthur. So this could have just opened it up for Luca to take that final podium position. Not be battling people, be in fresh air. I mean, he's got a gap of 3-4 seconds behind and 5 seconds ahead. And that's going to be all gone because Tommy's going to pit this lap. King Mural, of course, about 8 seconds up the road. He's going to be pitting a bit later. But I think it was the correct decision from Luca to box. But let's go back on board with Focus. Are one of them or are both of them going to pit this lap? That's the big question. Or are they maybe going to try and push it to medium softs? That could be an interesting strategy. And Dylan picks up a 3-second time penalty. So left gear, whoa! It almost looked like Focus was going to cut across the grass there. Left gear, I think, bamboozled Focus. And Focus is going to have to push now. This is going to be his in-lap. Or he can stick it out and try and go for the softs. Not sure what the decision is going to be. But I think this might have just granted left gear the win. And Dylan, no, Dylan, no. He's picked up a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And that could be Dylan's podium chances out the window. He's got 8 seconds of penalties now. And Luca, he does have 12, but Arthur Castrewa only has 3. So actually, I thought Luca only had like 6. But, so both of these Mercs, do these Mercs just not know how to slow down in the pit lane? Like, this is the second time, I think, in both races in Bahrain as well. But wait a minute. Show Crime trying it around the outside on 14 lap mediums. And the Red Bull tried to overtake Dylan there. That would have been an incredible move. New, fresh tires versus 14 lap mediums on the Red Bull. That would have been an incredible overtaking. He's got Ace and Arthur Castrewa behind him. I think it is going to be Arthur Castrewa who takes that podium position unless he's caught up in a bit of traffic as he's overtaken Ace. Now he's got Show Crime ahead though. And yeah, into the pits comes Focus. It is going to be ostensibly for the hard compound. But let's watch and see what his pit crew come up with. It is going to be the hard tire as left here coming down the straight. Has this undercut not worked maybe as well as he wanted to, because Focus still is going to be coming pretty close to the Aston Martin. I think that gap's going to be under a second there, just about a second, as he bumps over the curb on the exit of turn 1. So it's going to be 1.9. He's going to have to put a bit of temperature in the tires, but could we see Focus catch up, or is this going to be left gear's chance to pull away? Now King Mural up into third, of course, 15 lap old hards. He would just hope and pray that a safety car happens, but I'm not sure if that's going to be the case whatsoever. Meanwhile, Arthur Castrewa has caught up to Dylan. Arthur's going to be on the better tire compound. Now, this is the second race in a row he's gone for soft to medium, just like he did at Bahrain. And it sort of worked out for him there. Is it going to work out for him today? Those tires, of course, by the end of their stints, start to fall off and not be as good as they were at the start. But right now, he certainly has the advantage, and he's gaining on the Mercedes. If Dylan, is he going to try and move into this, I guess you can call it high-speed chicane here? No, he isn't, but he's going to have the run on Dylan into 12. He's going to have the rear wing open. Dylan goes defensive. Arthur Castrewa is going to try it, and he's gotten the move done before the turn, and Arthur on track up to 5th. He is in net 4th now, and he needs to catch up. No, he's within Luca's time penalties, actually. So left here, by the way, who has pulled out 3 seconds on focus. I believe he is pushing. Yeah, he's used quite a bit of battery, and he set a new fastest lap. So that pit stop strategy could have been the decisive blow for Focus, who didn't listen to me, didn't pit lap 13 like I maybe told him to. But we'll see if that is going to be the deciding factor, or whether that tire advantage will cost left here at the end. Meanwhile, back to Dylan and Arthur Costrewa. King Miro has stayed out still, so it is my educated guess that he's going to go from hard to soft, starting near the back of the grid and up into third. Now I think once he boxes, he will still be in the points, and then he will be on much better tires than everyone else. Showcrime and Ace also going for medium to soft. So the points finishes are going to be interesting to say the least. Tim Blaish on 9-lap-old hards sitting in 11th there. Still potentially yet to pit one more time, maybe onto the softs in 4 or 5 laps, but I could see him bringing it to the end. Unfortunately, though, I just don't think he's going to have what it takes to score points, as he's been overtaken by NL Car, the Mercedes, now in the 11th on the fringe. He'll be ahead of Showcrime and Ace when they come out of the pits. And now it's King Miro's time to box, and he's going to go onto the mediums for 11 laps. So that was an excessive overcut, in my opinion, from King Miro. He should have boxed last lap. But what do I know, as Showcrime comes into the pits and picks up a 5-second time penalty. So King Miro is going to come out in 6th and about 6 seconds behind, no, about 8 seconds behind Dylan. But he's going to be on much better tires, much better tires. So we could potentially even see him maybe get into the podium, or at least 5th or 4th, as Dylan has 8 seconds worth of time penalties, but he's struggling with this tire, and he's fallen back to 10-second gap now. So Dylan has 8 seconds of time penalties, and Luca has 12. So we could see King Miro come 4th in this race. Meanwhile, the Red Bull of Showcrime in 9th still on those new softs. So maybe that was the play. Maybe that medium soft strategy was right. Meanwhile, Tim Blaish gaining on Ace momentarily while Ace gets the temperature in the tires, but Tim Blaish faltering at turn 6 on and over the curb. So he's going to lose a bit of time. Now Ace, he's got NL Car ahead, who currently has DRS on Showcrime, the man he was fighting with earlier, the man who's sharing the same strategy as him. But I think it's going to be no time before he catches up. And Marco, a spin out of turn 4. He's going to have to let that McLaren by of Wukarda. I thought that was King Miro for a second. Thought that might have been blue flags. But Marco is just going to do them the common courtesy, and he's going to let him by. But that Aston Martin is left here, though. So hold up, what is going on here? A bunch of back markers fighting right behind left gear. So this could be a crash. I mean, if one of these two outbreaks themselves and goes into the back of that Aston Martin, that could be his race over. And Focus, who he has now pulled a 4.2 second gap to, maybe just about wants that to happen. Whereas Ace doesn't seem like he's extracting the most out of those soft tires, because he's still about a 2.5 second gap ahead. And Larvesh off the track there. Can we catch it? I'm not sure if we can. His car is just way too far off the track there. Out of 6 into 7, he is retired. He is DNF'd. So that'll be the end of his race. And Ace has caught a little bit of time. But I mean, you're expecting a 1-lap-old soft runner versus a 4-lap-old hard runner. Even if that hard runner does have DRS, you're expecting that guy to be gaining a second, at least a lap, before those tires start to fall off. I mean, just off pure pace, the softs are 7, 8 tenths faster, and then you have the tire age difference as well. Ace is just completely underperforming those tires, but now Showcrime has held up NL Car just about a bit and has allowed Ace to get within, very close at least, to the DRS of NL Car, who is hanging on to the coattails of Showcrime on those new tires versus the older ones is NL Car going to try to make a move. Here comes the Mercedes up the inside, and he's going to get the move done into turn 3. And he's somehow holding on. But here comes Showcrime, maybe around the outside. No, he doesn't. But a bit of a bad exit out of turn 4 for NL Car. And Showcrime's going to have to slow down out of 5, but he's going to get the DRS now out of 6. And potentially will re-overtake the Mercedes, if not here, then on the main straight, as these three are the closest, really. They are fighting for the points, and this is going to be big fight, really, to the end, in my opinion, at least. Don't think anyone else is in that conversation. Of course, you have Dr. Robot in 12th. He's 26 seconds behind. Let's take a look at the time penalties, though. 15 seconds for Luca, 3 for Arthur, 8 for Dylan. So King Mural is within Luca's time penalties, and he needs about 1.6 seconds to get within Dylan's time penalties and achieve that P4 finish. 15 for Monkey Man Matt and 11 for NL Car. So NL Car is in 8th. Resh Cohn, speaking of the devil, picks up 3 seconds. That makes it 12. Showcrime on 5 and Ace on 3. So Ace does not need to win that battle on track, just needs to stay within 2 seconds. Tim Blaish with 6, Marco with 3, and Wukarda with 6. The rest with no time penalties whatsoever. So track limits proving an issue at this race for a majority of the drivers, but a smaller plurality not seeing any troubles whatsoever. Yeah, so it is really only this bunch that are still fighting for 9th, 10th, and 11th. Well, really for 8th and 9th because of Monkey Man Matt's excessive time penalties. It is Ace and Showcrime, because NL Car does have that 11-second time penalty, and Tim Blaish adds another 3 to his repertoire to make it 9 seconds now for the Williams driver. And here comes NL Car down the straight. Ace does just barely has DRS ahead, and look at that move into turn 1, and there's been a wheel banging there. NL Car with a better exit out of 2. They're going to be side by side down this straight. Is the Ferrari going to be ahead? Is the Mercedes going to be ahead? They're side by side into turn 3, but I think the Ferrari was just about ahead. NL Car is going to try the switchback. He's got the outside line out of 4 and into 5 now, and oh, the Ferrari of Ace just about ahead. That's been the best battle I think we've seen all day, and there's someone who's come off ahead of them on the track, but he's been able to recover it. I thought I saw, no, that's Tim Blaish. Tim Blaish into the wall. Where? What happened with Tim Blaish? Into the wall. Oh, so he probably, what happened here, we're gonna watch the AlphaTauri come through this portion of the track. There is a wall very close to the left-hand side. And is he going to come into the pit, by the way? A wall on the very left-hand side, you can see over there, that you can hit pretty easily, just about there. And now, is this crash gate? Left gear had pulled out 8 seconds to focus. And now, that gap is going to disintegrate to nothing. And we've seen a lot of these drivers pit, so this is bad news for a driver like Luca, who's picked up 15 seconds of penalties. But this is great news for someone like Dr. Robot, who doesn't have any. And there's going to be a lot of lapped cars in the mix. I think left gear and focus can both pit for softs and not have any issues. King Mural now in 3rd behind, elected to stay out, I think. And that might just be the right decision for King Mural, who probably has just picked himself up a podium position. But wait a minute. What has happened? Focus has picked up a time penalty. What has happened there? Oh, he's picked up 5 seconds. What has he picked up 5 seconds for? I could have sworn he didn't have a time penalty just a couple seconds ago. Oh, wait, he doesn't have any wing. Oh, my God. His whole front wing is gone. So he's going to have to also replace his front wing. But again, doesn't matter. He's still going to be ahead of that McLaren. but he's going to have to get that 5-second time penalty removed if he wants to win this race, to have at least a crack at it. Oh no, he's going to serve it in the pits. So, okay, and he's still going to be ahead of the McLaren. He served it in the pits. He's going to replace his front wing. He's going to put on soft tires. And wait, is he? I think the McLaren's going to have to slow down for the Delta, but it's going to be close out of the pits. Is it going to be King Miro? Is it going to be Focus? It's going to be Focus just by about a second, less than that. So very, very close margins. And Focus, for 4 laps of this race, has elected to go to the softs, whereas Lefkier has elected to go for the mediums. So, wow, this race has just picked up a lot of steam. And if you haven't been watching yet, I think now was a great time to tune in. A late safety car, the first safety car of OFR Season 4. And this safety car could have just allowed Focus to get back into the race win conversation. And now on better tires than his opponent Lefkier, he could very well have a better chance than Lefkier at winning this race. Do not count out King Miro, though. 6-lap-old mediums, of course, compared to fresh ones, but King Miro has that pace in his locker. If he gets out of Focus, he could potentially get second. I'm not sure if he can still win it, but he can definitely improve his position. But if I'm King Miro, though, I don't waste my time trying to attack the guys ahead. I get defensive and I fend off Artur Kostreva for as long as I can. And then what happens is I just stay within 3 seconds of Artur and I try and get that podium position. I don't waste ERS. I don't waste tire wear. I don't waste time fighting with Focus and Lefkier. They're on new tires. They let them fight. Let them fight out for the win. I'm not in the win conversation. I'm in the P3 conversation, and I try and hold on to that position for dear life. The only person behind us that can maybe even stop that, because he has no time penalties, is Tommy, but he's down in 7th. So I don't think King Miro is under any real threat. But actually, I mean, this is going to be big for Tommy, because if Tommy just holds on, Tommy will get at least 4th, or at least 5th. Tommy might not get 4th if he falls too far back from Artur, but he'll get 5th. And if he gets 5th, that's at least a 28-point haul for Lefkier, who, by the way, has the fastest lap right now. Where is it? Oh, no, it's in the other one. It's in this one. Yeah, he does have the fastest lap right now. It's 20.7, but that's not going to be the case because just everyone is on soft, so it could be Focus who ends up taking the fastest lap. But like if I'm Aston Martin, I'm getting 28 points this weekend, probably at the least. The ceiling is 38, the floor is 28. So a big, huge points haul for Aston Martin to again create a bigger advantage at the top. And I don't think the safety car is going to be in this lap either, because the 3 back there, that's Blue Phoenix, and I think Reshkone, who had been lapped, so Reshkone is in 12th, but he's got a couple lapped cars ahead of him. And that is Dr. Robot as well, who's got a lapped car or 2 ahead of him. But it could be in this lap. Don't think it will be, but it could be. And I'm sure Lefkier wants to get on with it, but I just don't think 3 cars being that far back that they're going to call the safety car in this lap. I think it's going to be in next lap, and I think we're going to have 4 laps of racing action to the checkered flag. 29 laps at Australia, and it's going to be all down to lap 27, 28, and 29. 3 laps of racing action it will be to the checkered flag. 15.6 kilometers of racing action, just about 4 minutes that we'll see. And I'm sure both Lefkier and Focus are on the edge of their seats, as what seemed to be a boring race could now potentially turn out to be one of the better outings we've had all season. There it is. Safety car is in this lap. Safety car is in this lap. And it is going to be Lefkier who leads us away. And bit of a gap actually emerging there as Ace gets 5 seconds for ignoring a yellow flag. I'm not sure how he's managed to do that when there are no yellow flags out on track. We are in, well, we are, I guess, technically in yellow flags, but the track is green. Sort of, kind of. If you look at the bottom right of your screen, the track is green, but the yellow lights are flashing. So, I guess it can pick up ignoring yellow flags penalty under safety car. But enough blabbering. Enough yammering. It's going to be Lefkier versus Focus, and look at how close he's getting. Bit of contact there between the two. He's desperate to get away with it. He's going to pull alongside, and Lefkier is going to get us underway on lap 26, now 27 of this Grand Prix. 3 laps of racing action here. Focus versus Lefkier to the finish. Focus on the better tires. Lefkier, who's had the better pace all weekend. Focus is going to have to try and get ahead of him as fast as possible. No DRS until the last lap, or the penultimate lap. I think no DRS until the last lap. So it's going to be a battle of just wits, ERS management, and who is the faster driver. Look at that, King Mural already a whole second behind, and Focus is going to try potentially to get past on the straight. He is burning the ERS, but so is Lefkier ahead. He's got the slipstream, he's got the toe, and he's closing that gap rapidly. Is he going to try for a move? He's going to try it around the outside. Here comes the Williams. They're side by side into the turn. Is he going to try to roll for the move? He's going to back off. It looks like he's just about backed off. So not trying to risk a collision, but that's going to be a purple sector as well for Focus. Still burning ERS to both of them. And Focus, oh, and he tries to maybe go for a move around the outside there, but Focus, or Lefkier has parked it away. That's King Mural off the track there. We can't spectate that, but King Mural down now to 11th after spinning with 2 laps to go. So bad day for McLaren it's going to be. And as we head into lap 28 now, Lefkier has stayed ahead momentarily, but the gap is still 0.3 of a second, and it is closer than ever still. Focus that game still has ERS left in the tank, so this is not over by any means. Who is going to cross the finish line first? And will we see Focus try and mount and overtake this lap? Or maybe will we try and see him reserve himself, conserve some battery, and go for a full-out move next lap with the DRS on this straight here? But look at that, the gap is still 0.3, and he is using ERS. Lefkier is also using it to defend, but he's got the toe still, but he's not as close as he was last lap. And the gap still 0.2 though. Oh, look at this, he's gaining, but it won't be enough into the high-speed chicane here. Focus down up 0.6 on his fastest lap time, so this could be a fastest lap point for the Williams, and he is still so close to Focus, but it looks like it's going to be all down to the last lap. Will it be Lefkier? Will it be Focus? Who is going to cross the line first? The gap is still 0.3, so DRS is going to be enabled this lap. Look at how close they are. Lefkier going a little bit deep into the last turn. 16 corners remaining until we figure out who wins. Focus turning on the battery a little bit, and there it is. DRS is on. Lefkier takes the fastest lap of the 20 flat, and Focus has 3 more DRS zones to try and overtake the Aston Martin ahead. Neither of them have a huge amount of battery, both of them sitting at about 20%. And look at that, Lefkier, oh, a bit of a weird line through there as Focus over the curve there. That might cost him. That might cost him on the exit of 4, but he's still within 0.4. So this is make or break time now for Focus. He has to push the car to the absolute limits, and he's using the DRS. He has now the DRS on the Aston Martin, and he is gaining absolutely rapidly. The gap is shrunk down from 0.4 to 2 now. Here comes the Williams. He's going to try it around the outside, and Focus is into the lead. Is he going to try and hold it too wide through the chicane? But Focus is ahead, and now Lefkier has one more chance to send a move, but the Williams has DRS. Remember the double detection point. Focus goes defensive, and Lefkier goes for a lunge, and they touch, and Lefkier spins, but Focus stays ahead, and Lefkier down to second.
I think both of them will have an argument for that. But for now, it will be Focus, the 6-time race winner from last season. The hopes looked bleak for him. He was down 10 seconds, but then a safety car happened. He had the opportunity to box, and it will be the Finn who takes the victory here at Melbourne. Left Gear in second. What an end to this race. Artem Kostreva on the podium in third, and Dylan will finish in fourth. Tommy in fifth. Showcrime in sixth. And Elcar in seventh. Dr. Robot in eighth. So a good points haul for Red Bull. 12 points for them on the weekend. Monkey Man Matt finishes ninth just about, and King Mural will be 10th. Left Gear leaves the session, so Left Gear is not going to be happy about that one, but Left Gear, my brother, that one's on you. You send an absolute stunner of a move from 2 to 3 tenths back, and you just outbroken yourself there. That is absolutely not Focus's fault from my perspective, but I would say I'm going to leave it up to the stewards to decide, but I am a steward, so I guess it's up to me and other people to decide. So there are going to be your race results, ladies and gentlemen. After a spectacular finish, Showcrime will get driver of the day from the game. I'll have to see who's going to get my personal driver of the day. But just remember that Left Gear will be reinstated to second. He just left the session before everyone crossed the line. So keep that in mind. That everyone except for Focus is going to be moved down a position, and Left Gear back up to second. So there are your results, ladies and gentlemen. Focus, then Left Gear, Arctic Share with Dylan, Tommy, Showcrime, Kenal Car, Dr. Robot, Monkey Man Matt, King Mural, Reshko, and Ace, Luca, Ricarda, Marco, Blue Phoenix, Timblish, Larsesh, and Shadow Ben rounds out the pecking order at the end there. And thank you guys so much for watching. What an incredible finish to this race. Absolutely wild scenes. And join us back next week as we head to the land of Yuki Tsunoda, as we go to the Japanese Grand Prix for round 3 of OFR Shows Division Season 4. Same time, same